1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster.
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I am one of your hosts, Precious D.
And I am one of your hosts, Honeybee.
And today we are discussing Destroy All Monsters. Or as I call it, Destroy One Monster.
Oh man, I was really disappointed with the amount of monsters that are in this film. I was like, oh my gosh, when I start seeing everybody coming out, we're seeing all the monsters, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be so good. Like, so many monster fights. I was like gearing up for it, and I was a little disappointed with the action in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of people just standing around, or monsters standing around and watching while other monsters fight.
It kind of
And
was
only
kind
one
of a
of them is
bummer.
actually destroyed.
Yeah, yeah. Destroy one monster.
It's from 1968. It's in color, 88 minutes, directed by our man Ishiro Honda, with music by Akira Ifukube, though a lot of the music seems reused from previous movies. And it looks like this lost money, at least in the beginning, because the budget is 200 million yen and the box office is only 170 million yen.
It doesn't surprise me that this lost money at all.
It's still a lot of money. They just spent more than that. You know, if it had been a budget of one of the previous movies, they would have hauled in a good take. The featured monsters are almost everybody from previous Toho monster movies. There's no Frankensteins, and there's no mantises, Gigantus. But there's Godzilla and Rodan, Anguirus, Mothra, Gorosaurus, Spiga, Manda, and Baragon, and Manila. And I think that's everybody. I said Rodan, didn't I? Yes. And King Ghidorah.
And isn't baby Godzilla also?
That's Manila.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yes, Son of God. They just call him
tragic.
Son of Godzilla. Look, it's Godzilla. No, it's the Son of Godzilla. So, yeah, this is a big battle royale that was maybe at some point meant to be the wrap-up, the conclusion of the Godzilla universe. And yeah, they did seem to leave it way wide open for a sequel. So I don't know if that was ever really anybody's intention or they were just trying to drum up some excitement.
Well, they definitely drummed up some excitement. I was really, 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 really excited for this film.
Oh.
I know.
Okay, so I did actually take a lot of notes on this one, so let's get into it. We start out at the UN Science Community Spaceport number 2 in the far future year of 1999.
Tiny toy rockets, tiny toy cars. You know, you
Yes.
guys get it.
And we have our daily spacecraft to the moon. This was made in 1968, the same year we went to the moon, released in August. And they thought by the distant future year of 1999 there would be daily trips to the moon. Sadly, there are not.
Wah, wah, wah.
And then there's something about an underwater base
Mhm.
that other times is referred to as an underground base.
Very like deep blue sea, like underwater, like Aquatica, like underwater database.
It's somewhere in the Ogasawara Island chain, but they just refer to it as Ogasawara Island. And they also call it Monster Land, but it is also referred to, I don't know if this is in the Japanese version, it seems to be commonly referred to as Monster Island, but in the dub we've watched, it was just called Monster Land, which makes it sound like an amusement park.
Was yours dubbed?
Yeah, I think so.
Mine wasn't dubbed. Mine was just subtitles.
You were watching it on HBO?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this movie is available on HBO Max. I believe I was watching it on my Blu-ray, and I chose the English dub so that I could take notes more easily.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I watched the Japanese.
What did they call it in the sub?
Monsterland.
Monsterland? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Monsterland or Monster Island. The authorities, whoever, have gathered all the monsters in the world and put them on this one island and restricted them to their own little zones. And they have special controls to confine them to their zones. So they can roam about freely to an extent, but if they try and go past a border, some gas or a magnetic wall or something like that will come up and drive them back.
Each fence is made for each monster's instincts. So whatever monster's instincts like trigger that response, it's going to be different for each monster. Each barrier is a little bit different, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. But they assure us that the monsters all have plenty to eat. And we see Rodan eating a dolphin like he's a giant seagull. Scooping up fish.
Rodan had like quite the comeback in this movie because there was a movie there where he wasn't in it or whatever, and like where there was a few monsters in it but he wasn't, and I feel like he really got a lot of like his glory back in this movie because there was so many really great Rodan moments, and the dolphin was one of them.
Oh, I should say that Akira Kubo plays Captain Katsuo Yamabe. Jun Tazaki is Dr. Yoshido. Yukiko Kobayashi is Koyoko Manabe. Yoshi Tsuchiya is Dr. Otani. Andrew Hughes is Dr. Stevenson, who is dressed very formally throughout the movie. He looks like he just came back from a wedding in every scene that he's in. He's in like a morning coat, tailcoat thing. Kayoko Ai as the queen of the Kilox. Kenji Sahara, yay! As Nishikawa, the moon base commander. And those are all the main actors. And then we have Haru Nakajima as Godzilla, Baragon, and military advisor. So I guess his face was on camera at some point. Hiroshi Sakita as Anguirus Gorosaurus and Doctor in Hospital. Marchin the Dwarf as Manila. That's how he's billed. Toroshi Nagaki as Rodan, and Susumu Utsumi as King Ghidorah. So there you go.
Hell yeah. I thought the monsters looked great in this film. The monsters look good. Godzilla's movement is really good in this film. I love how he's always like throwing his hands up like, fight me!
A helicopter enters the underground base. This is where I'm saying it says it's underwater, but then he enters it through the ground. And it's a new employee, maybe? Kyoko gets a call from her moon boyfriend, Katsuo.
Her moon boyfriend.
And he says something about moon monsters, but then we don't actually see any, do we?
Well, he doesn't really get to say what he wants to because he's too busy, like, flirting that by the time that he needs to actually say something important, the shit has already hit the fan. And he's like, they lose connection.
Okay. But yeah, he's speculating that there's monsters there, maybe there's monsters up here on the moon. They mention that Dr. Yoshida is in Tokyo. And then there's some alarms. The control apparatus is out of order. And there's gas in the lab or the headquarters or whatever, the base, and all over the island. And all communication is cut off. And then we cut to a UN meeting about it. And they're trying to communicate, but there's some kind of jamming going on that must be deliberate. But who? And then I wrote landslide.
Yeah, we kind of see like this monster kind of like breaking through the land, but we don't really get to see the monster. We just get to kind of see this landslide for a second, and then we get a little snippet of someone saying that Rodan has attacked in Moscow.
Yeah, the news just somehow breaks into their meeting to tell us that Rodan's in Moscow and somebody's in Paris. Baragon, maybe?
The monster from the depths.
Beiping? Mothra is in Beiping. At first I wrote Beijing, but then it sounded like they were saying Beiping, but maybe that's the same place. I don't know. Manda is in London. Baragon's
and
in
Mothra
Paris.
as baby Mothra.
Yes, she's in her larval form.
She's a little larva.
She's in her larval form throughout the movie. Don't know why. Don't know why they decide sometimes to do that and not have her transform. And Godzilla is now in New York City.
He's in the Big Apple.
Yeah. He'll be back here again at some point. The press drills the UN doctor Yoshida, and he says something about a typhoon 20 years ago. I don't remember what that was about. And says that we know nothing.
We know nothing but go to Monsterland and go underground and go.
And they want to know why Tokyo wasn't attacked, because all the other big cities were, but Tokyo was not. Don't you worry, Tokyo. We will be
Your
getting
time
to
will
you.
come.
And then, what did I write here? Moon something SY3? What is it called? It's a ship.
What?
The
What'd you say?
spaceship. The spaceship. I wrote down something. Is it Moonlight? Moonlight SY3. Headquarters is calling the spaceship.
Yeah. That's what the spaceship is called. Mm-hmm.
They're calling Moonlight SY3 to return to base. And then a UFO is spotted. It's sort of a black glowing. It's both black and glowing. Flying saucer. And the UN wants the moon guys to return and land at Monster Island underground and find out what creature has overtaken the control center. So that I don't know what they mean by creature there. Do they think one of the monsters is taking control?
I'm not sure if they think it's a monster controlling it or not.
And then I wrote that Kyoko is acting weird.
Yeah.
Dr. Otami? Cooperate? Oh, she orders... I think the aliens take over her mind. And watch control monster? I don't know what the hell I've written here. I think we see that the aliens have taken over Kyoko, and she orders Dr. Otami to cooperate. And then we see Mothra wreck a train, and Godzilla roars and wrecks a boat, and Rodan wrecks a missile, and then the aliens say that we can call them back if we want. Introduced to the inventor.
Yeah, he's like, they were like, we can call him back, and he's like, we can't trust you, you freed the monsters. And they're like, well, we didn't exactly free them. Let me show you. They are being remote controlled, see?
And then we are introduced to the inventor of the control, a lady in a sparkly silver outfit.
Yes.
She claims that we are not your enemy. We're building a new scientific civilization, and sacrifice is necessary. And they are from Kelak.
Made up a stand. In
the asteroid belt. They don't say asteroid belt, but somebody says there's many small planets between Mars and Jupiter, which is the asteroid belt. Mm-hmm. And she's got a force field. They try to shoot her and stuff, but she has a force field. She does not explain at all why this sacrifice is necessary. Why in order to build a scientific civilization, we just have to have monsters go wreck some cities?
Yeah, it's really strange. And the way she talks about the civilization, like it's very technology based. But yeah, then she doesn't, that's all she says. It's a technology based civilization. I thought it was really funny though when she like has this force field and the guy, he like tries to grab her and he can't like grab her, but he just like his hand, it looks like he's trying to grab her boobs, but he just can't force field. And then he like changes like it angles, but still just his hands are just like chest level. It was so funny.
So Katsuo takes prisoners and the gas starts up again. I wrote creepy exit.
Yeah, Kyoko gets away.
Yes. A few of them escape.
The gas.
But Katsuo takes some prisoners, but some of them escape, including Kyoko. And they put on some gas masks. And there's a gunfight. And one of the guys gets shot in spite of the fact that he's behind cover.
Damn it.
He just jumps up and he's bleeding from a part of him that was hidden behind a pretty thick console. But maybe that was just so they could already have him pre-bloodied. I don't know.
Well, sometimes bullets go through shit. Just because you're standing behind something doesn't mean a bullet's not going to get you.
That's true. But part of him was poking up, and they didn't shoot him in the part that was poking up. So.
Never let him know your next move.
Captain and the crew escape in the rocket. And then we cut to some gold shoes on the beach. Is this Kyoko? At first I thought it was Silver Dress Lady, but I think it's Kyoko under mind control.
It is Kyoko. It is Kyoko. Are you talking about the secret police scene?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Kyoko.
So later at someone's apartment, Dr. Yoshida and Katsuo are questioning Dr. Otani, who was captured in the fight. So Dr. Otani got mind controlled too. And they captured him. And they ask him, have you been brainwashed? And then he casually jumps out a window.
Oh my gosh. The dummy falling to his death is hysterical.
He lands face down on the beach and is dead. And the alien, I wrote alien, but it's a Kyoko, sorry. Kyoko and some flunkies show up and they take DMC. I don't know what that is. And capture Katsuo and Yoshida. And yeah, then the special police arrive just out of nowhere. And there's a gunfight.
Yeah, I was like, what is a secret police? She yells, the secret police. And I was like, is that a thing? Apparently it really is a secret because I did not know that.
Yeah. And yet she instantly knew who they were, so. And one of the guys tries to cut something out of the Dr. Otani.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Like, why is he trying to cut him? I did not understand.
Yeah, well, it turns out
I was like, did I miss something?
They're trying to remove the evidence of the control device that he was implanted with. Which later...
Well, then why wasn't he trying to cut, like, his ear? It looked like he was trying to cut him, like, his back.
I don't know, but it's just sort of behind and below his ear, and some doctors cut it out later from his dead body. It's a mini transmitter / control device. And they talk about, well, if it uses radio waves, can we jam it? And they're going to search from the sky. I guess they're going to try and track down these radio waves by scanning from the sky. And we see an old prospector who finds an old stone. And then he sees, is it a UFO?
Yeah, he tracks like the radio wave to the stone, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
The stone turns out to have radio in it, so yeah, but I wasn't clear if he was looking for it specifically. He thinks he sees a UFO, but it's the spaceship SY-3, and it turns out that his son is one of the moon guys. Is it the main guy? Is it Katsuo?
It does.
Or did he never tell us?
I don't think. It never says. He just says that his son is one of the guys that's up there, and the guy's like, "Oh, really? How's he doing?" And he's like, "Fine." Like they just stop and have this conversation about it, but then he never says like who it is or like his name or anything.
Yeah, and then a bus of scientists show up with scanners, and they determine that waves are coming from the stones, and there's a device inside. There's a big meeting about finding objects all over the world with these little transmitters. So this is how they're controlling the monsters. By implanting little devices into rocks around the world. And they put out an APB on missing mind slaves. Then we see the police randomly checking people for implants, and they check Kyoko. But don't find one.
Yeah, they're not doing a very great job.
Well, it turns out later that hers aren't implanted.
Her earrings.
Yeah, they're not directly implanted. They're on her earrings. There's air raid sirens. Rodan is in District 7 and 8. Godzilla is in District 1. Manda arrives.
Oh, the horror.
And the monsters tear shit up. Some of these districts seem pretty small, though, because they say the one monster's in one district and one's in the other, and then we cut to them, and they're kind of next to each other. So I don't know how big the districts are. But get ready to attack, and there's a missile launch. Then we hear various theme songs as the various people go by. We hear the Rodan theme song and the Godzilla one. And the SDF kind of have their own little theme song they always play when the army's rolling out, when the tanks and missiles are getting into position.
Yeah, I love this part. I was getting so pumped up. I'm pretty sure my neighbors thought I was watching a football game. Especially when Baby Mothra came out, I was like screaming, like, oh, 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 oh.
Speaking of Mothra is in District 5. And then we cut to nightfall, and the city is in ruins. This was all in Tokyo, which finally got what was coming to it. And the people of Keylok have set up in Izu, where hot springs have dried up, and they also have Baragon, I wrote. Kyoko shows up with a message for everyone. If you agree to let Kelox stay and obey their rules, the monsters will go away. I don't know what their rules are. I think this is another case of these aliens just need some place to live, and if they had approached in a peaceful manner, we might have been able to absorb them, but no.
But they're like, you're either gonna do it our way or we're gonna fucking kill all of you.
And I find it interesting they felt the need to create new aliens rather than have the Exilians return. But I guess the Exilians are like, no, we tried that shit already and it didn't work.
Nah, we're good. You can have them and Vidora.
Yeah. So Katsuo rips her earrings out and bloodies her up a little bit while doing it. So he tore them out pretty forcefully, and she gets blood all over her neck. And he shows that they're control devices. And she can't remember anything. So
how convenient.
Yeah, you're no
just kidding.
use.
She really can't.
She can't, but that's not any use to us. And then the Japanese Defense Force rolls out. Rocket tries to land, but Godzilla runs it off. And then the tanks attack Godzilla, and I don't know what they called it in your version. They kept saying Angus instead of Anguirus, like he's a cow. It's an Angus beef, maybe.
No, they put Anguirus in mine.
Okay, Anguirus shows up, and the rocket retreats. And then there's a flying saucer spotted headed towards OG. It's the Kelox.
No.
Fight it? Nope. Run. And then Rodan appears to escort them away. Like he's, a plane of a rival military, and he escorts them out of the airspace. They even say,
I'm telling you,
Rodan
really made his comeback in this movie. He really did. He had so many good, glory moments.
Yeah, I mean, they even say, Rodan is our escort. Then at Mount Fuji, the JDF, the Japanese Defense Force, searches on foot. I'm not sure what they're searching for I guess they're searching for the base, the Kelox base. And they see Godzilla. They're like, scatter! But it seems like Godzilla is sort of pointing them in the direction they need to go. He's kind of nodding his head like, psst, over there, guys. Look over there.
Yeah, I thought Godzilla's movement was so good in this movie. It was so different, I felt like, from any other movie. Like, he did good. The movement was really good when he was, Daddy Godzilla. But in this one, he's, feisty, fighty Godzilla. So he, has, a lot more.
So they do find an air vent that leads to hidden base. So they don't say anything out loud, but it did seem like Godzilla was trying to show them where it was. At least that's how I'm going to interpret it. Godzilla helping out. So they go inside, and then this door shuts behind them. And they go in a little bit further into this, cave thing, and another door shuts behind them. And then the silver-clothed lady appears with a couple of backup singers on a monitor. And she's like, I lured you in here. Ha ha.
Villainous.
And shows them the saucer hanger on the monitor. And she wants to negotiate a peace, she says, but she really just threatens them. So I don't know what the hell her plan is. It's kind of all over the place. I don't think she really completely thought it out. Meanwhile, a control center... What? Meanwhile, a control center is constructed on Monster Island. That's there's an actual narrator comes in every now and then, and he tells us that a control center is constructed on Ogasawara Island. And there's waves coming in from the moon. Sound waves, radio waves, some kind of energy waves coming from the moon.
Yeah, we find out that that's where the signal is actually coming from, is from the moon.
Yeah. So I guess it's being broadcast from the moon down to the little hidden rock transmitters, and then and then boosted from there. The rocket makes an attack plan, and a UFO chases, and the rocket lands in a crater, and flames jet out as it descends into a deep crater, and as it goes down, flames jet out of the crater walls, but don't seem to actually do anything to them. While the lady in silver watches, and they escape.
I kind of just found all of this to be super boring.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? What? I mean, we've definitely had it worse in other movies where, the human shit is really dramatic and doesn't have anything to do with monsters. So at least they like kept it to the kaijus in these moments of just like nothingness, like just kind of boring, like we're just doing weird nothing shit.
Uh-huh.
But but still, I was just like, oh, come on, get to it. Where are the monster fights?
Oh. Well, they get out of the rocket and they escape from the rocket in some kind of moon car that they have with them and blast their way into the alien base. And the flames go out. And all the silver ladies pass out. I'm not sure why.
All the silver ladies.
That's what I thought when I wrote it. Yeah, I had the same thing in my head when I wrote it. Katsuo and crew get out of the car to check out the base. Everything turns to black and white. Everything in the some kind of reaction happens in the base, and the stuff in there looks like it's black and white, but they're not. The astronauts are not in black and white, so I don't know what exactly is meant to have happened there. But they say to destroy the equipment.
Destroy.
And then as they're doing that, we see these worm things on the ground that then burrow underneath stuff.
And don't they say that those are the Kilax?
It seems like that might be the Kilax true form.
Yeah, because the temperature, they say something about like because the temperature dropped, they had to like turn back like into their true form. They couldn't like continue to hold their human shape or whatever. I was like, oh, gross.
It makes more sense that these aliens don't actually look exactly like human beings.
Yeah.
Then they find some glowing rock. What is it? I don't know. Let's take it to Earth. Seems like a bad idea, but... And they have some trouble destroying the equipment. And here I wrote, why is Dr. Stevenson always in formal clothes? They rig up a beam to destroy the alien equipment. The circuit starts overheating. The wire actually starts to catch on fire. But they're like, keep going. They finally cut loose the thing that they were trying to shoot at. They're trying to separate some piece of machinery from the base that it's sitting on. Turns out it's the thing that's making the waves. When they finally cut it loose, the waves stop and they leave. So somehow they knew this was the piece of machinery they needed to get.
Yeah.
And somehow because of this, Earth HQ can now control the monsters. I'm not sure why. I guess they set up their own radio waves. I don't know. But that's what happens. There's a meeting about the Kilox, but frozen? What's frozen? The Kilox are alive, but frozen. I guess they mean the ones on the moon. Weren't you saying something about them being frozen?
Yeah. Well, they weren't sure if they were alive. They're like, are they alive? I don't know. Maybe, but they're frozen for now.
So Godzilla's now in Tokyo, but under UN control, I think. And there's a news reporter waiting for the monsters to show up. Yeah, this guy's just standing at, I guess, what's the designated battleground, waiting for monsters to show up. And he's the one that's like, it's Godzilla. No, it's just the son of Godzilla. And there's Godzilla and Mothra. And then he calls it Anguillus. So whoever's in charge of the dubbing was being inconsistent. Manda, Baragon, Gorosaurus, Spyga all come to the base of Mount Fuji to attack the people of Kilok. And then Rodan shows up last. There's no reaction from the Kiloks.
Finally some action.
Then we spot a UFO, but it's Ghidorah!
It's King Ghidorah! Which he looks great in this movie, but for whatever reason, his sound sucked in this movie. He's like, it seemed like he was a little bit more high-pitched. Oh, it was awful.
They mentioned Ghidorah is not from Earth, but control section is out. And the Kiloks call up to taunt us. The reporter gives a running commentary on the fight. And here we have the big monster fight.
Yay! Here it is, the battle royale. All the monsters ganging up and jumping Ghidorah's bitch ass.
And Gears bites one of Ghidorah's necks. And
you get a little blood. I was surprised it was red blood, too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right. Because usually it was like purple or blue or green or something weird.
And he gets pulled up into the air and then dropped.
It's pretty epic.
Because one of the other heads bites him and pulls him loose, and he falls down and lands pretty hard. And Son of Godzilla gives a very big reaction when that happens. I found it amusing. He's like, "Oh no!" He
Yeah,
puts his hands
that's
in
pretty
front of his
much all
face.
he does. The
Yes.
whole movie is react.
Well, he comes in at the end. He comes in to do a big finish at the end. And Gears hits hard and causes a landslide, which exposes part of the base under the like dome-like base underneath the dirt up on the side of the mountain. And then Anguirus runs away.
He's like, okay, I did my thing. My job here's done. Good luck, everyone.
Godzilla fights and pulls Ghidorah down, and then Anguirus comes back. Gorosaurus does a drop kick. There's lots of stomping and biting, and everybody just sort of dogpiles on Ghidorah. And then Manila does his little smoke ring atomic breath and does a ring toss. Does a ring toss with it right around Ghidorah's neck, which seems to finish him off when it sort of pops around his neck, or at least that one head. Mothra and Spyga both spit silk, and Manila does a victory pose on top of the body. Then Rodan gets hit by some kind of fireball burning monster thing from space.
Fire dragon!
And then I wrote, at HQ, hide! Burning monster destroys base. Silver Lady calls the other HQ to taunt, and then Godzilla finds the underground base, the part that was exposed earlier, and smashes into it Kool-Aid Man style.
Part. I love this part of the movie when she's all like calling and being a bitch and like nana boo-booing them, and then she hears Godzilla's roar and she like her face, she's all, oh shit. Like, oh no. It's like, yeah, suck it, nerd.
Somebody mentions that the monsters will fight even with no control machine. The Keylog base,
monsters have completely taken over. They know who the enemy is, and they're just fighting to fight the good fight.
Yeah. The Keylog base collapses. There's lots of explosions, and Ghidorah's body falls into the ground. Big crevice opens underneath him, and he just falls in there. Saved? Not yet. A fire dragon will be back soon. There's some kind of fire dragon that shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And Ketsuo goes to fight it in the ship. This is the burning monster that destroyed the base that I mentioned. They start calling it a fire dragon. And he's just happens to have some kind of cooling missile. But then it misfires. The second time works though, and the dragon lands on top of the ship, and they do a lot of loop-de-loops to throw it off. And then it turns out it was just a saucer. One of the Keylog saucers.
Yeah, then we realize it's not a dragon at all.
Yeah. It cools off enough for them to see it's a saucer underneath. They shoot it down. More explosions. Worm escapes. And I wrote, are they the Keylog's true form? So I don't think anybody ever explicitly states that's exactly what's happening, but it seems to be what it is. And then everything is peaceful, and all the monsters are back on Monster Island. The end.
Yay. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
So, what do we think of this one, Honeybee?
Well, man, I was really freaking excited for this one. And I feel like maybe I was too excited because I was a little bit disappointed.
Oh.
I know. It was still good, but I just felt like there wasn't for as much as I feel like there was just so much potential with as many monsters were in this movie. And then the monster fight didn't even happen until the last maybe 15 minutes of the film. That was it was just oh, come on. I just didn't feel like there was enough battle royale for me. And then destroy all monsters. No, it was, how many times are we going to kill Ghidorah and call it the end of the world? Anyways, I was just a little bit disappointed. But also, it was still good, and I was happy to see everybody. And like I said, Rodan made a good comeback. The monsters' movements were fantastic in this movie. I loved Godzilla. I loved his costume, the way he moved. The Spyga, the way the spider moved at the end. There's this little part where it's just the spider moving. He looks so good. So there were a lot of really good things too. But I was just slightly disappointed because I felt like I was expecting a little more action, a little more monster shit, but it was good. It was good. I was just I had really high expectations.
Well, what rating are you going to give it?
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Okay. Yeah, this was like the Avengers of monster movies.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing all the monsters together.
Yeah.
I think I'm also going to give it a 3, but I think I maybe, even though we're giving it the same rating, I think I liked it more than you did.
Yeah.
I didn't feel disappointed. I didn't have any sense of disappointment. I think it was kind of exactly what I was expecting.
Nice.
It was good fun.
The storyline was good.
I like the final shot of Godzilla and his son standing at the monster, standing on the island,
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
up at the camera as peace is restored. I like that.
Yeah,
So next week will be Gamera versus Viras, which should be available on Amazon Prime. It might also be on Tubi or Pluto, a couple of those things. So look around. The week after that will be All Monsters Attack. Prepare to be disappointed
for
now.
fuck's sake.
Do not go into that one with too high expectations, honeybee. Lower your expectations for that one. We'll discuss why when we get to it, but it is a little bit of a letdown. Did you tell me? Did you tell me you had finally seen some of Supergiant Robot Brothers?
No, I just downloaded it, but I still haven't watched it.
Oh, okay. You said something enthusiastic that made me think you'd actually watched it.
Yeah, because I downloaded it when the last time we recorded, which was like 2 days ago. I downloaded some episodes, and as I was downloading it, I saw the preview, and I was like, "Oh, this looks so good!" So I was just telling you that I was really excited because it looks so good, but I haven't actually gotten to watching it yet.
Oh, okay. You said something about being in love with it, so I thought that meant you'd actually watched it.
Oh no, I just watched the preview.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, check that one out on Netflix if you haven't already, folks.
Yes. Something else you should see is the new Jordan Peele movie, Nope. I don't want to give any spoilers or anything, but you should watch it because it could potentially have a giant monster in it.
Oh, okay. Keep an eye out for that.
That is all I am saying.
Alrighty then. Yeah, I'm going to check that out as soon as I'm able to. I'm not looking to pay $20 just to rent it right now.
Yeah, it's really fucking good. Oh, it's good.
All right then. Well, folks, that'll do it for us for now, for this week. Oh,
you little monsters.
Until next time, remember to keep calm and seek shelter in basements.
And please, don't misuse science.
We will not see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
Woohoo! Bye!
You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texacato Folk Rock Punk featuring Lita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and even leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/MNFTG.